Hi, and welcome to Sprout Sessions, where our pros pull back the curtain on what it really takes to build, manage, and grow a successful website. We're here to answer your questions and share what we've learned from working on real-world websites every day, so that your website can work harder and you can focus on what you love.
Before we dive in, here's a quick intro. We're CYBERsprout, a web design and development team based in Minnesota. This year, we're celebrating 10 years of helping organizations bring their website ideas to life.
In that time, we've built custom websites for over 300 clients. Our goal? Websites that look amazing and perform even better, bringing in leads, streamlining content, and helping our clients grow.
What really sets us apart is our team. Between us, we have decades of experience in the web development, user experience, SEO, and digital marketing space. We bring all of these to the table for you in these sessions.
This series moves fast, but don't worry, we're here if you want to dive deeper. You can visit us anytime at cybersprout.net and click Let's Connect at the top of the page. We've also dropped the link in the video description.
If content like this helps you out, do us a favor. Like this video and hit subscribe. It's the best way to stay in the loop as we roll out more website tips, tools, and ideas for navigating today's digital world.
All right, we're glad you're here. Let's get into it. This is Sprout Sections.
All right, so our next question that we're going to cover is near and dear to my heart as a designer. Are my website's images and multimedia optimized? And more importantly, why should they be optimized? Beth, do you want to lead the charge on this?
Nate can vouch for the fact that I never optimized as a photographer my own images for a very long time. I just want them as big as they can be. No,
That's a great starting point. Like, why is that bad?
what's
from a
wrong
web
with
standpoint?
that? It's bad because it slows down the load time a lot, and people will get out of there quickly if the site is not loading. And as a photographer, that's not what you want. You want to be able to display your work well and at a high quality, but also bring people in. One of the main things to keep in point there is the file type. WebP is becoming a lot more common across websites, a little smaller and more workable of a file. JPEGs as well. You want to really focus on keeping that, like the compression. There's tools out there that can compress those photos for you while preserving the quality. So paying attention to the size and the screen size that they're displaying on. You don't need a 7,000 pixel wide image when you're displaying it on a smaller device. A couple other components too are like enabling lazy load, which essentially means like the images load as people scroll down the page. There's all of them loading at once.
Yeah, so a few things with image optimizations and caching. What Beth touched on was that WebP format. That is
Which
becoming
is new for those who don't it's not that new, but it's becoming more and more popular. Browser adoption is definitely on the rise.
Yes, it is definitely becoming more prevalent in websites. And you can approach it two ways. One, you could take the time, format your images into WebP and then upload them. But from a client perspective, that's not really feasible. You don't want to take that time to do that.
A lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So what we have done with our clients and with the tools that we integrate with website is, as a client or as we upload the images to the website, it will format them, convert them to WebP for you on the fly. And that's probably the approach I would recommend. Having that as you're uploading them, converting to WebP, it compresses them, it formats them into that maximum file size. So as Beth said, if you have a 7,000 pixel wide image and you upload it, that step will actually break it down under 2,000 pixels. I think 1920 is the maximum they recommend. And then it'll convert
Which
it to
is
WebP.
a good average screen width, by the way.
Yeah, 1920 pixels. It'll shrink it down and cut it down onto that size. It'll convert to WebP, and WebP, from my experience, it probably over 60% savings from the original file size. That's the bulk of where your website storage file size or disk space takes up, is from the media library. If you can convert those and reduce it by 60+%, you're saving on your disk space. And that definitely helps with your website hosting and speed and whatnot. Caching on the other side of with images and optimization, caching will help basically keep a copy of those images, those files on the CDN, Content Delivery Network. They can be cached there. They can get cached in static files on your web host platform for your website. And that means instead of when a page loads, it's going to grab like the CSS files, the JavaScript files, and run those all simultaneously. Caching will take all of that and combine it and kind of into a flat file, like think old school HTML, if you will. And it'll take that file and cache it in another folder. And it'll sit there for maybe 4, 6, 8 hours until it refreshes again. But it can create a flat file without pulling from all these resources then the user experience for the next X hours, whatever we have it set for, will just serve those pages up faster. Because again, that content doesn't normally change that quickly or that dynamically.
Speaking of things that the website owner and the content creator can do, there's a number of tools available and we can provide links to them. Things like tiny PNG or Squoosh, image of compressed JPEG, a number of different just really quick tools where you can drop an image in the browser and it will resize it. Beth, we usually use Adobe products for that in terms of our workflow. But could you speak a little bit about what format makes sense for what type of media?
Yeah. So for images, it tends to be JPEGs or, like we touched on, the WebP format. But when it comes to things like logos and icons and graphics, PNGs or even SVGs are going to be your friends because they have transparent backgrounds. If you're plugging a logo or an icon into a dark background, you don't want like a white square behind it. You want just that icon on the background. So those, I would say, are like the biggest things that we run into is people don't necessarily have versions of their logos like that. So when you're going through like a branding process, obviously make sure your designer is aware of.
Always ask. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Or it's harder to recreate after the fact a lot of the time.
And that's a great thing to ask for when you're going through a rebranding and you're getting brand assets from a designer, is to make sure that you not only have print resolution assets, but you have web resolution assets. The other piece to remember, and I see this all the time, is the downside of people saving images in the wrong format impacts how much we can compress them on the server end with plugins or something like that. If you're saving a photograph as a PNG, it's going to make the file size much bigger. By the other end of that reasoning, if you're saving a pure graphic with lots of same color areas, no gradation as a JPEG, it's going to sometimes appear pixelated. So another important thing to keep in mind is image SEO and accessibility. You want to include alt texts, which is descriptive text for all your images. This is going to be crucial for web accessibility. It's going to help those using screen readers understand what your images and graphics are. It's going to help with SEO by providing additional context for search engines to understand the content of your page. You could also, and this is one is overlooked all the time, use descriptive file names with relevant keywords to also help with SEO. Don't go crazy, but short descriptive
More than images,
more
two.
than image one, image two, or some gobbledygook of characters as it comes out of a camera. That's all I have to add for that.
Going to touch on here. We've talked a lot about optimizing from taking a large photo and making it smaller. The thing I wanted to touch on is think about where you're going to use the image, because on the flip side, if you've got a very small photo and you're planning on using it on a page-wide element, by the time we stretch that little photo out, it's going to be really pixelated. It's easier to compress an image down. So sometimes err on the side of it being maybe a little larger than you want, and we can compress it down, but you can't really expand that much an image outward without it becoming very pixelated. So we get that question a lot, is my picture, when I make it really big, it gets really ugly. You can't really do much about that. That's just something to keep in mind, is where are we going to put it, and then making sure you get a file that's big enough that we can use it in those places.
I always tell people when we're talking about in the sales process, don't touch the photos, don't edit, don't do anything. Just take the pictures and let us help you with the rest, because that exact thing, Brad, is that everybody wants to do a little bit of editing and make sure that they have the right spot that they want on their website, but just let us help you with that. Leave it alone and we'll go from there.
This touches on I think both Nate and Beth mentioned the 7,000 pixel wide image example. Not only are you never going to display it at 7,000 pixels wide, because it's just so much bigger, unless you happen to be looking at your website on a Jumbotron. One of the benefits as a designer when I'm putting a site together is I can tell if I want a page header background image that's going to be the width of the screen, I'll choose 1,500 pixels, 2,000 pixels, and I'll know that's the maximum it's usually going to appear at, and it can always size down from there. I'll also give the clients some range when we're talking about something like a blog featured image, and I'll say stick to 1,200 pixels wide or something like that, depending on how their layout is, so that they have at least a base for optimization.